Jobs, look, we all have them. There are moments we prefer that we had a different job, but there are some jobs that are considered the worst and the best. To break them all down and to talk about what qualifies as such and how to get out of a job if you don't like what you're doing, we're joined by Gary de Rodriguez. He's with Peoplerich.com. He's a workplace culture expert. Gary, thank you for joining us on WILS.
My pleasure. It's happy to be here.
Hey, great having Peoplerich.com. What do you do there, Gary?
I'm the CEO of the U.S. office. We have offices in Perth, Australia, and London, England. We're primarily a corporate consulting company working with team cohesion, leadership, and behavioral profiling.
Behavioral profiling. That sounds really interesting. Well, what do you do exactly when you do that?
Well, we work with an instrument called extended DISC, which is the most researched behavioral profiling tool around. It dates all the way back to the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates. Mm-hmm. So it's quite a well-respected profiling tool. What it does for people in the job market, it actually gives you a very clear indication about where what we call your natural flow is, which would simply mean where your natural talents are, what type of job would actually best suit you. For me, if I was going to be an engineer, it doesn't mean I couldn't do it, but it would just take so much energy for me to do that because I'm just not a detailed type of person. But you give me a microphone and a group of people, and I'm so happy because that's my natural flow. They call in the DISC profile, I'm an IS, which is more of a networker kind of people person.
So
it's all just about the flow. It's all about where your natural talents are.
Flow is great. Do you ask questions, or how is the thing structured to find out?
It's an online assessment. You would purchase the assessment. You would be sent a code and a website that you would go and you do an online assessment, and then that debrief would be done by either myself or one of our staff members.
Okay, so it coughs up what qualities of the person or jobs they'd be fitted to, or how does it work?
Both actually. Jobs that they would be fitted to, and about the qualities of the individual and what their current stress levels are.
So what happens when you're talking to somebody and you say, hey, look, you're completely not suited for the job you're doing according to this? How do they react to that?
Well, there's a lot of factors into why someone will shift jobs, and I'm just going to speak a moment to that because oftentimes in our careers, it really is very much based on our own attitudes, whether we are successful or not in a given career. If you're a driven individual with managerial type of skills, you will eventually work your way up the ladder. If you're a victim, and no matter what you do on that job, and you have a victim type of mentality, you're not going to move up as fast as someone who is willing to take full accountability and full responsibility.
Well, you're bringing up a great point, because what if you're driven, but you don't want to be involved in management? Where does that leave you in a company?
It depends on the organization, because there are some organizations that are very stratified, and as a consequence, they only have a few opportunities for movement, whereas other organizations have a lot of opportunities. Like some of the 10 best jobs that are going to be out there, when projected out to 2022, you have mathematicians, you have audiologists, you have dental hygienists, you have software engineers, computer system analysts.
Well, it's all the things. By the way, I'm talking to Gary de Rodriguez with Peoplerich.com. This is from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, has put together a list of the best jobs. But when you look at that, mathematicians, number one, university professor, statistician, actuary, I mean, these are all the things that are any of us really prepared to take these jobs?
Well, I think that if a person wants to be upwardly mobile and have a lot of job security, you really have to look at what is the growth rate projection. Like for an audiologist, one of the highest growth rate projections is for an audiologist, which is 34%. So, I mean, when you look at what's going to be in demand, always technology is going to be high up there as well, because things are moving towards digital files. They're moving towards a higher level of technology. Everything's going up to the cloud, so there's going to have to be new software written.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how
your talents are.
I'm trying to figure out how did dental hygienists get to number 6 on best jobs?
I don't know. I guess people are, as we mature, our teeth get worse. I don't know.
Well, okay, opportunity, but my God, that can't be one of the best jobs, can it? I mean, maybe a dentist, but the hygienist, that's all the dirty work.
Well, I got to say, their growth rate projection up to 2022 is 33%, which is pretty high. And if you're really good, you can earn up to $70,210 a year.
That's good money. So, now, in fact, I want to get to the worst jobs because this is interesting, and it includes the worst job. Number one is as a lumberjack, although I can't imagine very many people have that kind of a job.
Well,
right?
You should be looking down at what the fifth one is on that list, which is broadcaster.
Right. How did they come up with that, do you think?
Well, this is from the job rate report, which measures a whole lot of different careers through a variety of different metric systems, and they've been doing it since 1988. So it's interesting that this would come out for 2014 job projections.
Well, I see that their mid-level pay for a broadcaster is $55,000. They really overestimated that, I believe.
Yeah, they probably did.
Now newspaper reporter number 2, taxi driver. You're a taxi driver is just slightly worse than being a broadcaster, and that in itself is a revelation. But
that's a pretty rough job when you think you're out there sometimes at 3 or 4 in the morning picking up people who are intoxicated. It's pretty rough.
Are we talking then about
head cook and flight attendant and garbage collector? Firefighters are there. Correction officers is one of the most dangerous jobs next to firefighters, and the enlisted military personnel is actually on this list as well.
I mean, some of the jobs, especially when they're life-threatening, make sense. So these worst jobs, it's a matter of what, growth and opportunity in the future?
Yeah, very little. I mean, if you look at the lumberjack, there's only 4% growth projected till 2022. That's next to nothing. So these are the jobs that just have poor growth projection. That means either possible layoffs or that particular industry is slowing down, or it's very dangerous, one or the other.
Now tell me, because you deal with this a lot, if you're in a position where you really are not enjoying your work, you hate your job, what is the process of actually shifting your entire career to something different?
Well, I've shifted my entire career about 5 times, and I will tell you sometimes it was circumstances that actually drove me to go out and look for an entirely different career. But I will come back to my first point, which was attitude. If you have an attitude of success and an attitude of your own self-value and your own self-worth, you will take steps to actually reinvent yourself, to further your education, to add new skills and certifications so that you can actually begin to start moving forward. The very first step is to believe in yourself.
Being motivated is important. 5 careers. Give me a few of what you've done in the past.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been a textile designer. I've been a landscape contractor. I've been a dishwasher. Okay. I have been a naval engineer. I have been a seminar leader, and I'm now currently involved in the career of my life and my love, which is now going into organizations and transforming them. I've spent about 30 years studying sort of the mindset skills for success, and I finally found a vehicle in which pays well and can actually produce some extraordinary results in organizations.
You've got to believe in yourself, you say, and you have to be motivated. What does that take? If you're not there already as an adult, what does it take to get there?
That is such a loaded question. You have to first look at, can you open up? Do you have the skills and the knowledge to sort of open up the owner's manual for your mind? Meaning that we have to look at what creates that attitude. And some of the things that create the attitude is the events from our past that have affected us, those core significant events that stopped us dead in our tracks and actually changed our life direction. Those have to be neutralized and reframed, which there are systems to do that within the technologies that we train. Next is you have to look at your beliefs. Beliefs are oftentimes one of the great self-saboteurs. Next, you have to look at your values. Are your values in alignment with your behaviors, your thoughts, your attitudes, your actions? And secondly, and sort of on the secret undercurrent of it all, is the use of our language. Linguistics is an incredibly powerful force in our life. The language that we use actually begins to either support optimal emotional states, which drive motivation, or destroys it. So these are some of the fundamental filters that people generally are not that aware of that actually affects their entire attitude.
Gary DeRodriguez, CEO of PeopleRich, the website peoplerich.com. It's been insightful, Gary. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you.